Today we'll be counting down some of the best sports cars that you can buy for under 30,000 US dollars. No fluff, just pure driving joy. Let's face it, new sports cars are getting insanely expensive, but that doesn't mean that you can't have some serious fun on a serious budget. Whether you're looking for something with a screaming V8, turbocharged kick, or just a clean rear-wheel drive platform to slide around, there's something here for every kind of car enthusiast. Despite some of the vehicles on this list being old sports cars, a lot of these are actually great daily drivers, but do be mindful that with buying a cheap sports car comes some caveats. Nevertheless, a few might just surprise you with what you can get for the money in 2025, regardless of how cooked the market is. So without further ado, here are the best performance bargains that won't burn a hole in your wallet. Starting off strong with a car that everybody saw coming is the Mazda MX-5 Miata. It's light, it's balanced, and it's endlessly fun to drive. You won't get a ton of horsepower, but what you do get is pure driver feel. There's a reason why these little tiny bug cars have such a big name within the car community. With a curb weight under 2,400 pounds, rear-wheel drive, and a near 50-50 weight distribution, the Miata is everything that a real driver could ask for. Focusing on the ND generation, it possesses a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline-4, putting out around 155 horsepower in the earlier models, but it was bumped up to 181 horsepower after 2019. If you're looking for a fun and easygoing car to learn manual in, this is the best way to go. The Miata possesses one of the best manual transmissions today and is one of the best cars to have a manual in regardless. Now, if your budget is really tight, you could pick up an older generation like the NB or NC for under 10K, but if you want something just a little newer, you can find a used ND model within the mid-20s. If you're after rally driving with just the right dose of tail-happy chaos, the Toyota 86 or BRZ platform is very hard to beat. You may be wondering why I just listed off two different cars. Well, the 86 platform was built as a joint project between Toyota and Subaru. One of the biggest things that people love to talk about these cars is the fact that they lack a lot of power. But the truth is that these cars weren't built for power, it was built for balance. Within this car, you get a naturally aspirated 2-liter flat-4 engine making around 200 horsepower in the first-gen models. However, when it was brought back as the GR86 in the later years, it was bumped up to 228 horsepower, also within the second-generation BRZ. They're lightweight, they're rear-wheel drive, and they come with either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic, having to pay about $1,100 more for the 6-speed automatic in the newer models. These cars have a lower center of gravity thanks to the Boxer engine and a chassis that loves to slide. They're far from rocket ships in the straight line, but you throw it into a corner, and suddenly, that 228 horsepower is not a defining factor anymore. The best thing about these cars is that the earlier models are well under 20,000 US dollars. The newer models, however, come just shy or a little over $30,000, so if you're willing to break the bank just a little bit, you could get a brand new GR86 for about 30 grand, maybe a little bit more than that. But the older models especially are very cheap. Next up, we have the BMW M235i, a true sleeper in the used sports car world. Now, the newer models are much more expensive, obviously, so the ones we'll be focusing on in this video are the models between the year 2014 and 2016. With a trim level that's tucked between the standard 2 Series and the full-blown M2, this car is the perfect middle ground for somebody who doesn't want to settle for a base 2 Series, but also doesn't quite have the money to buy a full M2. This particular generation of M235i has the N55 engine, which is the successor to the M54 engine. Now, the M55 engine has around 320 horsepower and around 330 pound-feet of torque. M235i has a 0 to 60 time in under 5 seconds, it's rear-wheel drive, and has the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission as seen in the Mark V Supra. However, if you do want a manual, that is still an option, and you can settle for a 6-speed manual if that's more your flow. Now, as of right now, these cars are flying just under $30,000, so if you do search hard enough, you can probably find a clean, low-mileage example around that price range. However, this is a little bit more on the pricier side, but you do get what you're paying for. And lastly, it is worth noting just to keep a little bit of a budget aside for maintenance, because as you may know, German cars are not cheap to maintain, and that's not to say that this car is unreliable by any means, but the maintenance can just get a little bit expensive. At number 4, we have a car that you probably didn't expect to be under 30 grand, and that's none other than the Porsche Cayman 987.1, which ranged from the years 2006 to 2008. This particular generation of Cayman has everything that you could ask for in a Porsche: the mid-engine layout, precision handling, and of course the naturally aspirated flat 6. The base model came with a 2.7-liter Boxer making around 245 horsepower, while the Cayman S bumped it up to about 295 horsepower with a 3.4-liter flat 6 as Porsche is known for. And because it's mid-engined, the balance is incredible. rotates through corners like it's on rails, just like the 86. Performance-wise, you're looking at a 0 to 60 time of around 5.1 seconds for the Cayman S, with the base model Cayman being around 5.8 seconds. This car has everything that a real car enthusiast could ask for in an older sports car. It's got the steering feedback, throttle response, and fantastic braking. The early generations of Caymans are starting to dip below $30,000, but you will have to search around a bit for a good deal or settle for one that has a bit of a higher mileage. But just like the M235i, I would keep a little bit of money aside for maintenance, because being a Porsche, especially an older Porsche, it's not a Miata, so the repair bill is not going to be cheap, and the reliability isn't going to be as good as a car like the Miata. And last but not least, we have something that's just a little bit different. It's sleek, it's powerful, but it's not quite your average BMW or Mustang, and that's the Infiniti Q60 3.0T. If you want a car that flies under the radar, this is the car for you. It has a twin-turbo V6 making around 300 horsepower and around 295 pound-feet of torque. It's more power than the BRZ, more comfort than the Miata, and a little bit more presence than you would expect for the price. Now, I know these cars are notorious for their takeover reputation, so if you're concerned about looking like an Edgar delinquent, then maybe consider some other options, but this is a solid pick regardless. It holds a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds flat, and while it's no canyon carver like the Cayman or the 86, it makes up for it for a smooth ride, sharp styling, and a cabin that actually feels way more expensive than for how much it costs. You can find a clean 2017 to 2019 model well under the 30 grand price range, and you're getting a twin turbo coupe with aggressive looks and a comfortable daily driving experience if that's something that you value a little bit more. Unfortunately, this car is not a track toy unlike all the other cars on the rest of this list, but if you want something that's fast, refined, and unique as a daily driver, at least under the 30 grand price range, this might be something worth considering. It's a pretty solid sleeper, and if you're in a position where you're trying to maybe, I don't know, convince your parents to help you buy a first car for you, you want something that's not too powerful, but you do want something that you can have some fun in, this is definitely going to be the way to go. Well guys, that'll do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this list, and if there's anything else that you want me to cover, feel free to leave some comments. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.